me, this is something I don't like that's going on down there in Florida, in light of, all this illegal documented immigrants getting up out of the country. What Florida's, proposing a bill to do is, make change the child labor laws to where those children, who are working, who are still in school, they getting to work, all hours of the night, without taking breaks, this, that, and the other. And I don't like it because to me it sounds just like a bunch of nonsense. Because what this will do is, take away from the kids' schooling and them being academically in them books, and them, it'll have them, wanting to work all, hours of the night to get money, truth be told. So it'll take away the them being into the schools and being into the studies like that, and that'll take, away from their future because truth be told, they're going to get farther, in them books and putting their head into their studies, rather than working a job, so I don't like this. I think that it's going to deter kids from wanting to go to school and study and actually learn something that'll take them farther in life, if they put their foot forward and just, favor of a quick thrill, like getting money would do, you know what I mean? Because these kids are going to be so fascinated just earning all of that money that it's going to take away from the school. They're going to be tired when they go into school because they're going to be working all hours of the night, and this thing ain't going to work out. I don't think this thing is really good, and I think, we should get pushback and resistance to this because, even though it is down there in Florida, they just might be trying to do it as a test run to see if they can, run this thing all the way around the board. Because I think kids should be putting their mind into the academic studies, more than, working. It's cool to work. I worked when I was younger. I was in a little work program. I work a certain amount of hours a week just to have some little money for myself. But it shouldn't overshadow the schooling. And I just foresee this as that work will be overshadowing to the schooling. If kids will be tired, they'll come to school and not be able to put their best foot forward in terms of their academic studies. So I got the audio and the video of this, and we're going to talk about it. Fair use.
Imported migrants in our workforce. A Senate bill that narrowly advanced in the legislature aims to ease child labor laws, allowing minors to work more hours. The governor thinks it could fill positions left vacant by having fewer undocumented immigrants.
CBS News Miami's Chelsea Jones is in the Redland with how a local teen is hoping this helps his quest of finding.
This will also possibly push youth to want to drop out of school in favor of, making a fast buck by working, not knowing that school is going to take them, further later on down the line. Because a lot of times when you young, you make decisions more often than not based off of impulse, quick gratification. You don't want to, really take the harder route and, work for things. Even, I fell victim to this as being younger. You want instant gratification. So them kids might see that fast money that comes from working, maybe want to drop out of school, their academics start declining, they failing. And I just think this, won't be a good thing. Kids should, they predominant focus, they could work. Working is cool, but it got to be in balance. Your predominant focus got to be your schooling and your academics because that's going to take you further.
Finding employment.
I talked to a 17-year-old who is working with his dad over spring break to make a little extra cash. He says he's been looking for work unsuccessfully for 2 years, and a law like this could have helped him. Alex Jesse is no stranger to labor. He's been on track loaders like this since he was 7 years old. Instead of spring break fun, he's working to restore the Pine Rocklands, working for his dad's company because finding work hasn't been easy.
I've applied to Publix, Walmart, and different places, food franchises.
And all of them tell you you're too young.
Yeah.
Tuesday, the state legislature advanced the bill that would allow 16 and 17-year-olds to work more than 8 hours a day on school nights and 30 hours a week without.
See, that's a no-no on school nights. They should be working more towards the weekend on a school night. This is going to take away from their academic studies. That's going to start lagging. They're going to be tired. And truth be told, this might, even push some of those youth to want to actually drop out of school and work more hours than they already working. So this, is going to backfire. I don't think this is going to be a good thing.
Mandated breaks. It would also allow 14 and 15-year-olds that have graduated from high school, are homeschooled, or attend virtual schools to work.
What's wrong with expecting, our young people to be working part-time now? That's...
I don't like that Governor Ron DeSantis. He ain't nothing more than a white supremacist, but I digress. Let's continue.
how it used to be when I was growing up.
The idea is that with this bill, low-wage or undesirable jobs once filled with migrants now get filled with younger workers, a solution Governor Ron DeSantis supports.
I don't think the at night late working and going to school doesn't sound to me to be something conducive for a young person.
McNaghy is the owner of Mixed.
I'm on the time that this older gentleman is on. It ain't going to be conducive, working long hours during the school night. It ain't going to be conducive to their academic studies. That's going to start lagging, and it's just going to be, bad for the future of that child, even though that child might not see it. But later on down the line, they're going to pay for it.
Greens.
We farm about 100 acres of tree farming.
He employs younger workers, but
Umber B says he's evil. Yeah, you're right. That Governor Ron DeSantis, I'm assuming you're talking about. Yeah, he wicked.
says they need
White supremacist.
balance.
I'm all for after-school agricultural work, but if I had my way, I'd make sure they stay in school, too.
I'm on the type of time this old head is on. I make sure, it got to be balanced. They can work, more so towards the weekend, but during school weeks, nah, because this is going to interfere with the school, and that's going to start lagging, and it's just going to prevent those youth from, reaching the heights that they could have reached in life if they would have stayed with their head in them books.
He says if a law like Senate Bill 918 existed 2 years ago, it could have helped him prepare for his future as a welder.
I would have been able to be employed, make money, so I'm able to afford a car, have the things that I'd like. I either want to go out to the oil rigs and weld underwater or do the pipelines.
Critics of this bill believe that this will lead to sleep deprivation of children, academic decline, even added pressure for those working to help their families. This bill will now head before two separate...
Yeah, I feel the same of the critics, that it's going to lead to academic decline, kids feeling pressure to help their families, which is going to in turn lead to them wanting to drop out of school and maybe even dropping out of school. So this is just going to be a bad thing. It's going to have, bad side effects, if this does get passed. I just wanted to bring that, to the family that they're trying to, change the child labor laws down there in Florida.